Hi guys, and welcome back to the Beauty Inspires Beauty podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Bergio. Today I have an insanely amazing guest. Her name is Toni Thomas. She is an award-winning author, a makeup artist, and 500 amazing beauty-inspired things that you guys will find so much value in. I'm so grateful that you introduced yourself to me on social media. It is another one of the reasons why I find social media to be so powerful. So I just wanted to welcome you to the podcast, Toni. How are you?
I'm good, Jessica. Thank you for having me. I feel like the minute I found your Beauty Inspires Beauty, I knew we needed to be friends.
Totally.
I knew it.
Yes, and that's what I was just saying to her. I said I feel we were doing numbers on how long we've both been in the industry and how long we've been, in the game and whatnot. And it's been a lot of years together. It's been close to 50 years. She's got 30 plus, and I'm 20 plus, and it's like it just goes to show you how quickly time can go by. And that's one of the things that we just pre-talked about before we hit record on this was what we wanted to share with you guys as far as what can really be accomplished in this industry, and kind of what we've seen happen in the industry around us with ourselves and kind of everything in between. So before we get started, Toni, I like to do a little get to know you so our audience can find out a little bit more about you. So can you tell us kind of where you grew up and where you're from?
So I grew up in a small town in Montana, and today I actually still live in that small town in Montana. When I tell you small, I mean super small, like 250 people.
Oh my goodness, that is small.
Super small.
I'm sure there's an amazing thing that happens when you get to grow up in such a small town. I mean, I grew up in San Diego, so there's nothing small about that. I grew up in a suburb that was smaller, but nowhere near small like that. What was it like growing up in a small town like that?
I think when you grow up in a small town like I did, you have a lot of room to dream and grow. You're not stifled by expectations of other people. You live within your own little kind of dream world. Like I used to walk. So my walk, this is really a story, that story where your grandparents would say, I walked uphill both ways to school every day, right? Do you remember that story? So I actually walked a mile to school every day and home every day. And even in the winter, and I would sing songs and I would be free and I would dream about my life. And I always wanted to have a big life. But how do you have a big life when you grow up in a small town? But it didn't matter to me because I believed I was destined for a big life.
See, and that's where I find so much power in these conversations with other women who will say things like that out loud. Because if you're listening to this and you are resonating with this, I have felt that same way my entire life. Like there was something bigger, better, greater out there in the world for me, and I just couldn't wait to figure out what it was. So, man, there's a part of me that's jealous of that because I totally understand that. And don't you feel so blessed the fact that we did not grow up with social media? I mean, I'm the ability to be compared against the person who is nowhere near you, you have nothing relative with them. You shouldn't even know them, yet you're comparing yourself to their everyday and to their set of standards.
Yeah, social media is this devil, and yet it's this diamond, right? So the devil of, gosh, I should be this and I should be at this and I should look like this and I should be doing this, and yet the diamond of social media. I'm sitting here talking to you today because of social media, and I get to connect with my children and I'm going to say this out loud, my grandchildren. Because of social media, I get to watch every move they make. I get to be a part of their lives. And I also here's an example of how great social media is. This morning, I had an amazing video call with a woman from Scotland. Without social media, would I have gotten to have that conversation? Absolutely not. In fact, after the meeting was over, she sent me this lovely message and she said, Toni, it was so great to talk to you today. I'm so inspired. And she said, imagine this 20 years ago, it would have cost us $1,000 and we would never have met each other. And she's right.
Remember the long distance bills? I do. My mom wouldn't let me talk on the phone. Yeah, no, you had to write letters.
You had to write letter. Who even considers a letter today? Do people even know how to write letters?
They still count, FYI. Okay, so explain to us. So growing up as a small child, dreaming so big, like it's no wonder you've accomplished so much in your life, because I feel like when you had that mindset instilled, that belief poured into you, even if you did it for yourself growing up, somewhere along the line, even if we grew up with those thoughts, somebody, something, somewhere along the told us we couldn't do that, told us to play small, taught us to show up not as loud, not as big. And you've accomplished not only authoring books, but creating courses and setting standards in our industry that most people don't even realize that they could accomplish. So how did you even get started in the industry? Where did that happen? Because you were beautiful. So was being part of the beauty industry just kind of embedded you? You love playing with hair. How did you're a makeup artist, that's right. So how did that even come to be?
So you're going to laugh because I'm going to tell you my story and you're going to go, no way. So I'm a business major. So business is kind of my thing. But I came home. I didn't actually open my business while living in this small town. The capital of my state is 20 miles away. And I was working in a retail location. I had a business degree, but I had a couple of small children at home and I was recently divorced. And I was like, what am I going to do with myself? I'm still back to that. I know there's more, there's something bigger, right? Well, as it turned out, I'm working in this retail location and the space next door became available for rent. And I thought, what does this town need? So I did a little bit of my small town market research, right? What does this community need? What can I offer this community? How can I use my business degree? And I thought, okay, I'm going to open the first salon and day spa in this community because there wasn't a day spa at that time. It was the early 90s. And I did this kind of under the radar because, you're still afraid. When you get to a certain age, you're young, you're not afraid. You get to a certain age in your life and all of a sudden you don't want to tell anybody what you're doing. You're afraid to tell people. So I rented the space. I started remodeling the space. And at the time, I owned 1 acre of property. And then I revealed to my parents and my family that I was going to open a salon and day spa. And I needed to sell that 1 acre of property to finance it. And of course, my dad was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? You never sell property. You know that mindset, right? You never sell property because it's more valuable than gold. And I said, Dad, it's the only thing I have. It's the only asset I own. I'm going to create my own life and I'm going to do it by selling this piece of property. So I opened the salon, I opened the day spa, I hired a staff, I literally hired stylists, estheticians. Now this is the 90s, so I had 2 tanning beds. Remember the tanning bed days, right? Okay, that thing we would never do now. And then I went to school and I became a nail technician, an esthetician. This was before my makeup artistry career started. So I went to school and got my licenses for the state of Montana, and I was in business. And that's where my career started. I sold 1 piece of property, 1 acre of property.
That is the best story ever. Like, honestly, talk about burning the boats and going all in. Like,
All in.
You don't hear that type of a story very often. You know what I mean? You hear things out of necessity or need, or I wasn't happy here, so I said, I could do it better, and I did this, or, that's incredible. And I will be dead honest, and I'm sure you were successful. I have a couple of people that I know in this industry that have a business background, and they are by far the most successful small business salon owners that I know because they did it right. They did it
Yes.
the way it should be done, not based on emotion. And a lot of times it's hard to not run a business on emotion, especially when there's in this creative of an industry, because you have so many different personalities.
Yes.
It's hard to wrangle everybody in.
Yes.
But, you know, how did you have the mindset? How old were you when you opened the salon?
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to ask me this question. I was 29.
29.
I was 29. I had small children at home. I actually lived in a rented apartment at the time, so I didn't even own a home. My car was some old jalopy that I had, but I did own that piece of property, and I was willing. You know, if you've read a little bit about me, I believe that people need to take a leap of faith on themselves, because ultimately we create our future. Nobody can create it for us. It is us. And especially in this industry where it seems to be a dog eat dog world, we all think we're competing for the same customers and clients. And in reality, our customers and clients are competing for us.
I love that. That couldn't
Right?
be more true.
We don't sell products and services, we sell us.
Mhm.
We are the product, we are the service, and we are the magic. We're the magic that brings people to us. And in today's social media world, or whether you're doing marketing through social media, or whether you're doing marketing through, you know, kind of the old school marketing where you're, you know, traditional marketing, you're putting yourself out there. The only way you can do it isn't through selling products and services. It's through you
Right.
and your magic.
Know, like, and trust. And that is something that, you know, when I was thinking of getting into the coaching space, when I was thinking of sharing what it was that got me to the level I was in this industry, I thought, how can I peel back the layers and put
Yes.
it into a teachable format to share with
Yes.
other people so that they can replicate and do something similar, not be the same, but do something similar, have a successful career, be happy, raise a family, own something one day. And I had to pull out all the things I thought needed to go in my course and my program, which were, of course, numbers and budgeting and finances and getting clients and all the things. But really, what set me apart from the girl next to me who could do just as good of hair, and the guy next to me who could do even better hair than me? Why was I busier? Why was I constantly booked and thriving? And what you just said is exactly that, because I didn't pitch and sell products or services. It was
No.
me that was able to sell myself, in a sense, right? Like old school guerrilla marketing. And this is where, yes, I know the young kids, and I had to adapt to getting clients on social media and kind of selling yourself in a virtual world. But, you know, never forget the power of connection one-on-one, even if it's like this. Getting out and
Never.
introducing yourself to people, saying hello, starting conversations. Old school, we called it guerrilla marketing back in the day. You know, it was where you actually went out and talked to people, passed your cards out. People ask, how did you build a clientele? I said, I went out and got them. I went out and got clients. I gave my
I reeled them in. I went fishing.
you should let me cut your hair. You should let me cut your hair. And when I didn't want to talk to people anymore, I would put my business cards in their windows with the complimentary haircut with any color service. I would walk through the parking lot at San Diego State, and hundreds of cars later, you know, I'd walk through the campuses of the schools because that's the age I was. So, you know, when I see people struggling to build a clientele, you guys need to remember to go back to, it is you that they are connecting with. And, you know, I mean, how many times have you had an accidental mess up on a client and they still came back because they trusted you enough to come back and fix it or work on it? They knew that they would rather see you and give you a second chance than to go somewhere else. So I love that. So let's fast forward a little bit. So your business is thriving, things are going well. Did you enjoy the process of opening the salon and building?
Yeah, I did. Because at the time it fit into my lifestyle. I was a single mom, and I knew that that career path would allow me on the days that I didn't have my children, and they were with their dad, I could work 10-hour days, right? On the days that I had to pick up my kids from school or take them to school, it gave me the freedoms I needed to take care of my children, take care of my needs, and yet work really hard when I needed to work hard. So that was my foundation building period of my life, right? I was a nail technician, a salon owner, an esthetician, and I was kind of just, I had a great life. I was building that foundation. And then I moved in. I think we all evolve, at least if we're not, we should be. We need to evolve into our next step, our next phase. And how do we get to that phase? Depends on how we decide to take our dreams, our passions, and our purposes into that next step.
So what did that next step look like for you?
So I got remarried, and my husband lived on the East Coast. And so my children had graduated from high school. And I was kind of like in this spot where, okay, I guess I can be done with this life in Montana. Well, we weren't done because we still owned a home in Montana, and follow my husband on his journey, which was on the East Coast. And it was funny, Jessica. In the beginning, I was like, I was lost because I had this huge clientele. I had all these friends. My family were all in Montana. And so I kind of started doing this, writing books. I knew I had something to share. I knew I had something to offer, but I'm gregarious by nature. I still needed to be interacting. So I got into this world of teaching, and yet I still wanted more. And how do you decide at the age of 45? I'm going to be direct and honest. How do you decide at the age of 45 you want to have more? You want to be more? So at the school I was teaching aesthetics at night, and I was the daytime makeup artistry teacher at this aesthetic school, this really great school in Northern Virginia. And I was like, what is the next phase for me? What is the next step? And I was like, okay, I'm a great makeup artist. I'm really good at this. I'm artistic and I love what I'm doing now. This was my next step. What is a makeup artist? Where does she go? How does she find the top spot in her industry? And I thought, I want to be a New York Fashion Week makeup artist. And I knew nothing about it. Nothing. I had no connections, no relationships. I didn't even know how you became a New York Fashion Week makeup artist, but I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Obsessed. Okay, so we're gonna hop on an IGTV live after this because the whole premise of what I just talked about before I got on this podcast episode recording with you, this is exactly why you guys, I preach all the time on my Instagram, on these podcasts, why you show up, because conversations need to be had. You need to be able to talk about your story. You need to be able to share what you're going through with other people, because you never know when the universe is going to drop a Toni in your lap to tell you what your future is going to look like. Literally, I just did an IGTV about having a walk on the beach this morning, sitting down and finally getting the permission download to release my behind the chair business after 20 years. Like, I've been wanting to retire. Last year happened. It was a chaotic craziness. And I thought, well, I can't do that now. I need to, I'm so attached to this business that I've built. You were at that time with your children. How did you decide? Did you sell the salon? How did you give up the attachment to the clientele and the business that you had built? Were you able to sell the salon?
I was. So I sold my salon. But you give up your clients, because I was moving to a new part of the country, right? So I was moving 3,000 miles away. And so there was this decision of, I'm not really interested in going back into the salon environment, that would tie me down, that would connect me to another brick and mortar building. I knew I wanted to kind of progress a little more. So therein lies I decided to apply for this teaching position at a Northern Virginia aesthetic school, where then I slowly started, because of my business background, of course, they wanted me to do a lot of stuff to help them grow their business, right?
You're like,
Um,
what?
right? But bing, oh, she's a business major, so she's got great business skills. So I was teaching, I was the operations coordinator. Um, I started doing the makeup courses, and then realized that I even wanted more freedoms, right? So at that point, I stepped away from the school after, I think I was there for 5 years. Um, and then I became a freelance editorial makeup artist, and decided I wanted to chase that dream of being a New York Fashion Week makeup artist. And I did it.
So
I did it.
you got to walk us through that a little bit, because that's a big, going from teaching, because I have a lot of friends actually who teach at the local beauty schools. We have amazing Paul Mitchell, the school here in San Diego, and we have a bunch of other schools in LA and the surrounding areas that are high level academy schools that really, they get so lucky because they get to pick the prime students, and a lot of times they don't even allow them to go into the salon right away. They like hustle them away from, I have one girl who's been like an assistant with me here, as she's going through, she was supposed to take her test, and she's assisting with me, and now the school's calling because she's good and she was licensed in another state, so she's already a hairdresser, and they want to bring her in and have her be an educator. And there's part of me that selfishly is like, you need some behind the chair time, but
Yes.
you kind of had it. So, I know the opportunity to work in a school, and I've seen the people that have spent time teaching in the schools and developing that ability to teach is huge, because it's one thing to be able to do the craft. It's a whole nother thing to be able to articulately teach the craft. And if you can teach it and teach business along with it, is that how you created what you've created in the coaching industry? I mean, like, you walk the walk, talk the talk, and now you're in the coaching space. And to back touch on what Toni talked about, her and I do something very similar, and
Yes.
it's motivating to me and her to find other people doing the same thing, because connection, collaboration, sharing what got us to where we are, like, there's enough business to go around. There are enough beauty professionals for us both to be thriving coaches. There could be 5 million other beauty industry coaches, and we could all be successful. Same with the hair industry or the makeup industry. It shouldn't ever feel like that, which is, it's still astonishing to me that people feel that way. I hope it's not as much as it used to be. But how did you break into the New York Fashion Week? So you didn't know anybody. I got to get this story, because I know there's people listening that are probably like, I would love to do something like that too. I want to be, on the stage teaching, or I want to be in the backstage just doing at Fashion Weeks, but I don't know anybody. How do I get those connections? What was your first call, or who did you reach out to?
So I was brave and I was bold.
Yes.
So, I'm brave and bold, and I take a lot of leaps of faith, right? So I left this, I did. I left the School of Aesthetics in Northern Virginia. I opened up my own online school of makeup artistry. So I took a year, I created courses. It's called the Beauty Academy. You can find it wherever you find me. And I'm also a licensed instructor, obviously. So I knew that I could take my education background, teaching, and I could create something in the online space. So I am literally one of the, before the times of online makeup education started, that's kind of where my career in the online platform started. So I launched my beauty academy where I was teaching, but I was still at that point a freelance makeup artist. And you asked me how I got to New York. I had never even been to New York. I had no connections in New York, but I knew I wanted to be a New York Fashion Week makeup artist. So I bought 4 tickets to a New York Fashion Week show because I didn't know, I did my research. Like, I don't know how it even works. I've never been to a Fashion Week show. So I bought 4 tickets. So I brought my 2 daughters and a friend, and we flew to New York. 2 of us from Virginia, 2 of us from Montana. We flew to New York, and we attended a New York Fashion Week show. It was a Friday night show, the late show, which is kind of the premiere show. And then after the show, I knew there was an after party. Okay. So because I'm bold and I'm brave and I am very much into doing whatever it takes to find out information, right? I said, okay, girls, we're going back up to the room. We had a back up to our hotel room. We're going to get all dolled up and we're going to this after party. And we're going to make friends and I'm going to ask questions because I want to know. I want to know how you get there. So we get to the door where there's a guy standing. Everybody's given their tickets to the after party of this New York Fashion Week show. And we don't have tickets. We don't have a pass, but I have my 2 beautiful daughters and I have my beautiful girlfriend. And I'm like, dude, just let us in. We want to come to that. We went to the show today. We just want to come in. And he was like, okay, you can go in. Okay.
Love it.
So we get inside there and there's professional photographers, there's professional makeup artists, there are professional bloggers, there's beauty bloggers, there were all of the designers from the show of that day were there. Remember, there's 3 shows and there's probably 20 designers. So all the designers are there. But I knew there was one person at that party I needed to talk to. And he was the producer of that show, right? Because the producer is the guy who makes it all happen, or the woman, whoever it is, they make that show happen. And I knew that person was the person who was going to help me answer the question of how do you become a New York Fashion Week makeup artist?
Yes.
So I am a no holds bar kind of woman, and I just walk right up to him and I introduce myself. I tell him who I am. I tell him what I do. And I say to him, I want to work next year at this show, backstage as a makeup artist. And he turns to me and he says, is that your daughter? And I go, yes. And he goes, she's very beautiful. Is she a model? And I go, no, she's a makeup artist. And he said, well, you know what? She should be a model. And tomorrow night, she's going to walk in the final show of my show at New York Fashion Week on Saturday night on the runway. And I said, absolutely, if you can tell me how I become a New York Fashion Week makeup artist,
I will sell you my daughter. And you get 4 tickets for tomorrow night's show too. Oh my God.
She's such an introvert. It took me all night to convince her to get into this dress the next day.
Oh my God.
And yet 1 month later, he invited me back to New York. We collaborated. He did invite me to his next show. But even beyond that, he invited me to lead a team of makeup artists the following year at his New Year's Eve fashion show. He invited me to lead the team. So I put together a team of makeup artists. We came back and we did his New Year's Eve fashion show.
Holy shit.
And you know what? Here's how it works. I'm still connected to this person. I'm connected to every person that I met backstage, every photographer, every journalist, every designer, every person, every hairstylist, every makeup artist. I am still connected to all of those people. And now I'm still invited 5 years later, I'm still invited back to New York Fashion Week every season. And now I don't just do his shows. Now I'm invited to other shows. So I run around town with my little makeup case, running from fashion show to fashion show, doing shows all over the city. So I'm usually there 4 or 5 days doing shows all over the city.
Well, the answer is always no if you don't ask. So Toni, I'm an amazing makeup artist, and I would love to join you next year, even if you just need an assistant to wash your brushes. Show up and go get
Jessica, I will show you how to get backstage at New York Fashion Week.
Woo, let's do
I
it.
promise to you.
Okay, done. Shaking hands on it. I love it. Oh my God, that is such an incredible story. And my takeaways right now are, this is exactly why I preach showing up as the highest version of yourself, being bold, being courageous, like taking chances, asking for that in. If you think you know nobody, you always know somebody, and putting yourself in proximity to the people that you need to be around, that you want to be around. It's like what I talk about. You're the epitome of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. If
Yes.
you want to be in rooms with people like that, figure out how to get in there.
Absolutely.
Got
If you
yourself to New York, you got yourself at a fashion show, you got yourself into an after party you didn't have tickets for,
oh,
you have to find the producer out of hundreds of people, you made the connections that needed to be made. You're a girl from Montana who grew up around 250 people, but now you're running around New York like it's your playground. Like, how many people can say all of those things? Like, you would have never accomplished any of that if you thought, well, I don't know anybody.
right.
It's a fun dream.
That's our
Must be nice
conviction.
for other people who know people. Like, that's the thing I hear most often is, must be nice. She must know somebody, or, something was handed to her. That's the exact dream right there of someone who just had an idea and said, I'm going to figure out how to do this.
I didn't know a single soul in New York. I had actually never been there.
That's hard.
And now I share that in my new course that I just launched, my new book that I just wrote. It's all about deciding that your purpose and your passions are powerful
Mm.
because they're inside of you. I can't create Jessica's dream for her. Only Jessica can take her dreams into reality. And each of us has such a power inside ourselves. And I told you earlier, we each have magic. People don't buy our products and services, they buy our magic. They buy our ability to connect and be real. Now, anybody could have went to a New York Fashion Week show.
Sure.
I took it one step further.
No, 3 steps further, I think. 3. So tell us about your book and tell us about your course. Does the course go with the book or is it separate?
They're two separate things.
Okay.
So I worked the past year on, how do I help other beauty industry professionals do what I've done? How does a small town girl from Montana have an international business? How do you do that? How do you make it into the next level? How do you take it into the next level? And how do you actually fulfill your dreams? So I wrote this book called Rock Your Beauty Biz.
Love.
Okay.
Okay.
And it is the ultimate guide to becoming a successful beauty business entrepreneur. And I literally, and like you, it's a no holds bar book. It's a no BS book. I don't waste your time telling you 4 chapters of la da 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 da. I get right into it. From the very first chapter, I'm going to teach you how to write a business plan. And that business plan doesn't need to be some stiff, callous document. It needs to be a working, evolving document, right? You're a beauty business professional. You know that your business plan is constantly evolving. I also teach you how to market on social media, how to market in traditional marketing, and how to not be afraid at any age. Look, I'm 55 years old. I still put myself out on social media. I still market every day. I still do what I need to do to be successful at who I am.
Oh, I feel so filled up just listening to you. You're inspiring me so much. And beyond inspiration, I think we can get filled up by listening to amazing stories, but getting to connect with you and hear your voice and just feel your energy. Like how you're saying they buy us. It's really an energy exchange. I feel like we get to touch people for a living. We get
Yeah,
to make them feel prettier, look prettier, all of the things.
absolutely.
Um, it's really a privileged industry that I feel so honored to be a part of. And when I get to meet other people who are as obsessed with it as I am, I feel like so fortunate to have fallen into this industry. I feel like you describing your time with owning the salon and being able to leave to pick up your kids, it's like that's where I'm at too. I'm a single mom as well, and I left yesterday at 2 o'clock to pick my son up from
Yeah.
school. And it's in those moments where I think to myself, I feel so lucky that I chose this career knowing that I would have the ability to control my schedule. And some days I work 10 hours and I see 12 clients, and some days I see 3 people, or I decide to take the day off. And it's so amazing to be able to be your own boss and to be in control of your business. And I'm excited for people to be able to read a book like yours that can kind of give them some structure around how to set themselves up to be successful in this industry. Because with as much freedoms that come with what we get to do, if there was a set of structure, plan, layout, book like Rock Your Beauty Business to read when I graduated beauty school, I think I would have been even more successful in life outside of the salon. Because I think sometimes we get so caught up with the fast money. This industry is a lot like working in the bar. I have friends at tattoo, personal trainer, the cash business where, okay, if I just go show up for a couple clients, I can make some money. I think maybe like some, we're not taught the business strategies behind actually running our beauty business as like a full brain creative. I wasn't taught the business side. I wasn't taught what to do with the money and how to move things. And I really I look back and think, man, I sure wish I would have had someone like you, even as an educator in school. And it's funny that you mentioned that you did that for a few years, because as much as I know it's not going to pay the same way as working behind the chair will, there's a huge part of me that's always wanted to teach in a school and to be a part of the early stage of those kids'
Yes.
career to set them up, right? Like part of me thought, oh, well, you need to open a beauty school because then you could change all the lives. And it's
Right.
like, maybe I don't need to own the school. Maybe I could just be a part of the school and feed them that way, and it would feed me as well. So thank you for giving me that guidance by sharing your story with your experience doing that. I've loved talking to you. I feel like we need to come back around. And can you tell us a little bit more of how people can connect with you if they want to see how you run your courses or do coaching with you?
Absolutely. So I have an online academy. It's called the Beauty Academy, and you can find the academy through my that that school is located at womeningear.com. So I'm all about women, womeningear.com. You can find me on Instagram at Toni Thomas MUA. You can find me on Facebook, Toni Thomas MUA. You can find me. I sent you the link to my website, which is toni-thomas.org, which really gives you that whole plethora of all of the things that I do. My books, where you can find my books, where you can find my academy, where you can book me for services, right? And really where you can get mentorship, because I believe in giving back, and mentorship is something that people don't do enough of, and I want to give back. So if there is somehow I can help anyone who's considering going into the beauty industry, or who was already in the beauty industry and they're struggling to make their beauty industry or their beauty career successful, I want to help you. I want to see you achieve your dreams. I want to see you live your magic,
I love that.
you
So
know?
normally one of the first questions I start with, but I got so excited, was, are there any beauty myths that you want to debunk? Things that people think of our industry, people put labels on us. Is there anything that you want to touch on? I feel like everyone has like a slightly different answer.
Well, I think the beauty industry, we get a bad rap. People look at us and think we're not educated, and they don't understand how many hours it took us, how many years it took us to get to where we're at, and the continuing education that we have to work on on a daily basis to follow the trends and the curves. I mean, I look at you, Jessica, and I think, how in the world do you ever keep up with all of those hair changes, right? Styles that come in and out and go in and out. You know, how do you stay up with those? I want people to know that this industry evolves so quickly each year that we have to be educated beyond anybody. Most professionals in the world don't have to take continuing education classes to even keep their licenses.
Sure.
Right? So we have to continue to evolve with trends and industry needs. We still have restrictions and rules we have to follow. You know, COVID taught us a great lesson on, look, our industry took a huge hit. Nobody took it harder than we did. You know, restaurants and beauty professionals were, they were brought to their knees. And so getting rid of those thoughts of what you think of your stylist or your hairdresser, your nail technician, your lash technician, she depends on you. They depend on you, right? The public to recognize that what they do is a very high skill level.
I totally agree. I love that you said that. I love that you touched on that. That's one of the things that I pride myself on, is leaving my clients better than they came in. And
Yes.
COVID really showed us, you know, it was one of the first places a lot of my clients said that they had been in 6, 7, 8 months, especially my older clientele. They hadn't left their house. They hadn't gone anywhere, and they hadn't been touched by anybody because
Right.
they're made to be afraid to touch people. And, you know, the trust level that they have with me and coming in, and, you know, it's just, it really, I'm so grateful I didn't duck out a year earlier, and that I'm still here to go through this process to fill the way I feel about our industry kind of on my way out as far as working. I still am coming to New York. Those are the things I haven't even let myself dream on because of opening the salon and making sure that everyone on my team is supported, and, you know, all of that. I love that answer. What advice would you give to someone thinking about joining our industry? What would you preface them with? Because I think a lot of times people get into our industry and don't really realize the real level of participation, showing up, professionalism, all the things that it does require to be successful.
The sacrifices,
Mhm.
right? So this industry gives us a lot of freedoms,
Yeah.
but we sacrifice a lot too. We stand on our feet, sometimes 10 hours a day. We give it all. We give our energy to those people sitting in the chair or sitting across from us. As I'm applying makeup now or doing skincare, I give my energies away, right? So, but I can tell you that for me as a beauty industry professional, understanding the business side of this industry is super important. You own a salon. You know that even if you have stylists working for you, they still have to build their own business, right? You can't create that business for them. You could book clients for them. You could have a receptionist who answers the phone and she takes appointments. But it's still up to me, the beauty industry professional, to build my credibility, to build my career, and to collaborate with everyone around me and build my business. Because to go long term, you have to do those things.
Yes. And consistency is the answer to
Showing
all
up,
of that.
showing up, never be late.
Amen.
Oh my God. And please come dressed,
With your hair and
prepared for the
makeup done.
job that you are doing. I could die when I go into I mean, I've literally gone into editorial photo shoots with magazine covers where I'm one of 3 makeup artists and I'm the only one with makeup on my face. And I could die.
Blows my mind every time, even the 6 a.m. I tell you, I have a client I fly to the Bay for. I will show up and she will have somebody else, you know, doing makeup or something, and I come to do hair or whatever. and that person, no makeup, pajamas, and I'm like, have you lost your goddamn mind? Like, people that I've worked with, I think to myself, it can't be that obvious. Like, you chose the beauty industry. Pick another career if you don't want to put your face on.
Absolutely.
If we leave you with nothing else, at least
Yes.
show up for the part. You cannot be expected to make 6 figures in an industry looking like you just woke up out of your car.
No, you cannot be a beauty industry professional without showing up looking the part.
Love that. Let's leave them with that, Toni.
Okay.
Okay. So I will have all of Toni's contacts in the show notes. They will be linked. And when I post everything on Instagram, it will be there as well. Toni, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. And I hope we can continue our relationship, because that is what fills up my cup, is surrounding myself with mentors like you. I'm going to ask you one more question. Have you had any amazing mentors in your life that have changed the trajectory of your business in life? Have you have someone special to you, or do you listen to special podcasts that light you up? Because I know sometimes when you're at that higher level, where do you find your support and mentorship now?
So I do. I actually have a wonderful business partner. I am the creative director of a magazine called Soul Style, and I look to her to keep me. She's a realist, and I love having a realist around me. She's also a fellow makeup artist and a professional photographer. It is those folks, right, who keep us grounded. She keeps me grounded. She keeps me level, because I'm a dreamer, right? And I am a risk taker, as we've all seen today. But sometimes we need to keep our feet flat on the ground. I listen to Allie Brown. I love Allie. Do you know who Allie Brown is?
Allie Brown. I don't think I do.
I love her. She's just so down to earth and so real. And so I listen to podcasts like yours, which brought me to you and remind me that we are all in this together, and together we can do great things.
Obsessed. I love that. Thank you so much, Toni. We'll see you in the next one.
All right, Jessica. Bye-bye.